the man himself is about to be revived. And his name is
What?
John Cena!
What?
Just kidding. I
No,
had to throw in the meme at least somewhere, right?
it
No.
better be in the video.
Oh yeah, of course. Um,
So you could say that Ichiro is the Toriko equivalent of John Cena.
I guess.
He always gets up at 2.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, he's better than John Cena. He
Oh yeah,
sucks.
but that's not the question. That's not the question here. The question is why? Just simply why? I mean, it's like when it comes to the idea, in my mind, when it comes to the idea of Ichiro being resurrected, it's one side of me says why, the other side of me says why not. It's like I don't know how to feel about it because in one aspect it's like, well, if they revive him, doesn't that sort of undo the emotional damage, the emotion behind his death?
Mm, I mean, yeah, but at the same time, I mean, they kind of need him.
They kind of do. But I mean, it's been like I'm still trying to understand because it's been a while since I've read that part. Because obviously I rewatched the anime not too long ago, but as we all know, the anime didn't cover his death, so
Yeah.
like there was no like it's been a while. So I don't. He was, if I remember correctly, he was killed by the blue nitro. So, but wasn't that only because he was weakened, by because he let Midora beat him?
Oh yeah.
Uh,
I mean, he got like I think he got like his face like blown in half or some shit like that. Like I mean, the hungry space like ravaged him because he let it happen. And so I mean, yeah, Blue Nitro
so
able to just finish him off.
so in the end, it's like, well, okay, if Ichiro, I don't think Ichiro was planning on dying there. I mean, he was just planning on losing.
Hmm.
So I guess he wouldn't have an issue with being brought back, but I would feel like, okay, so if Ichiro comes back and works together with Don Slime, who has just gone from hype to beastly hype
Yeah.
in this one chapter, it'd be like, okay, well then there's nothing really for the main characters to do because they'll just take care of Neo lickety split.
Well, I mean,
It just seems
there's too much right now to really tell.
it's like that, but it's that it just seems a little too convenient. Like, I mean, I don't think that's the route he would go, but it's like, oh well, you're bringing back this person who could defeat Neo, but in the end, it's probably more likely he's gonna keep Neo busy until Toriko and the other 4 Heavenly Kings are powered up.
Hmm.
Well, actually, no, it'd be Don Slime because in order to resurrect Ichiru, they need the full course,
Yeah.
which isn't out yet because they still have to wait. They would still have to wait for God.
Yeah.
So at this point, it just basically seems as if Don Slime was introduced. It's kind of like Don Slime was introduced. It just feels weird because he like seemingly like sped past everything so he could introduce the fact that Neo is nearly revived and pretty much can still do a lot of damage
Yeah.
as he is now. But then he's like, oh well, I already introduced Don Slime, a character who can beat the living heck out of him and keep him at bay, while I then go back and take my time. So it doesn't make any sense. Like you could have, I mean, not that it's not awesome, but he did the whole fact that Don Slime could go toe to toe with Neo is pretty much just so that way he could undo the fact that he sped up and
Hmm.
introduced the fact that Neo can destroy the Earth now, but if he waits until God, he can then eat the Earth.
Yeah.
So it's like, because now we're gonna go into flashback. We're in flashback,
Yeah.
learning what happened, and then presumably, hopefully, move on to the other areas to see what happened in their
Mhm.
areas. Now, for um, so basically, we start off okay with Don Slime jumping using the ocean as a springboard to jump to the moon. Like, really, Don Slime? Or should I say, really, Mitsutoshi? Did you really have to top Bambina's soft jumping feat?
Yeah,
And
apparently he
then
did.
he only jumped off the ocean to jump off the so he could go to the moon and use that as a springboard to jump to Area 1, presumably Area 1.
Destroyed the fucking moon casually by bouncing off it. Goodness.
And now he's already engaging in a fight with Neo.
Well, that's GG for the Earth. You destroy the moon. The tides are gonna just go crazy.
Well, it's the Toriko Earth. We don't
Yeah,
know
I
what
know.
the hell. And besides, if they need a moon, we already got one. He's in
Yeah,
Area 6, eating everything,
yeah.
apparently. Then we learn that apparently the blue grill is the Toriko equivalent of the hyperbolic time chamber,
Mhm.
and time moves faster. So,
Yeah, because the clam is basically a camping monster, essentially.
yeah, which is also talked about in this chapter.
Which I like that they actually finally explained the fact that of how a camping monster actually works.
Uh-huh.
Which makes perfect sense to me how it works.
Yeah, but the thing most notable is the encounter between Toriko and Guinness, during which he gets the phone call from Komatsu at the end of this whole thing,
Mhm.
was 3 weeks. However, we are starting out 1 hour after they left Area 6, which, in terms of the time that's passed in Blue Grill, is 2 days.
Mhm.
So that is just. That is some insane stuff. Because when you think there's 365, not 365, in 3 weeks, that's what, 21 days?
21 days times 48,
By 24 hours.
which is 1008, I think.
No. 21 days times 24 hours is 504 hours.
Well, it's for 1 hour, it's 2 days, which is
Well,
48
no,
hours.
yeah, and then times that by the 2 days. So that means 1,008 days.
Mhm.
Um,
Which is like 2.5, like 2.7 years or something like that.
yeah, so in the terms of in Blue Grill, they've spent nearly 3 years. It was like
Mhm.
2.67 or 7.6 something, whatever.
Long ass
So they,
number. Yeah.
however, apparently in the back channel, it goes even faster.
Mhm. Because apparently they had spent decades, according to Komatsu, which
Which
is weird.
explains why they all look older.
Mhm.
And apparently, this was also used as a chance for Komatsu to be scared for several decades, so that way he could mature and
Uh huh.
stop being a little bitch. Which also means his skills. So, essentially, if you want to think about it, in terms of the people who the group from that are in Blue Grill, specifically the ones that will end up going to the spirit world and spend those decades, they've pretty much gone through a time skip.
Mhm.
And all of their abilities are going to get an upgrade,
Oh,
including Komatsu, who might finally be a combat chef.
yeah, that's true.
but it'll be like his own unique style
Right.
because, for one thing, the whole thing about him was that he was gentle and innocent and not like over. He wasn't like some super strong chef. That was his whole thing to this point, was that like, so somehow he's gonna be he'll like somehow have this like aura of, like he did before, where he's just like, okay, he seems weak and defenseless, but then he'll just like can instantly turn on his power and just
Uh-huh.
obliterate you or something.
Right.
Like, I am looking forward to that. But first, we have to go and see how all of this goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that happens is, well, we are unfortunately definitely skipped the cooking competition.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
That is
how,
unfortunate.
especially since Condor is still alive,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't explain how he survived. And
Yeah.
then they skipped over the other 3 fights. Then we see that Asaruti, in the final fight, Asaruti's facing off against Chiru.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Chiru.
Yeah.
I forget. I lose track of all these chefs' names.
Yeah, it
But
was Chiro.
anyway, and they're like, oh, well, sorry. Whale King Moon's on the move, so we gotta stop this fight and go to the back channel. Like, ASAP. So we can get another.
Yep.
So, and then there was this whole thing about the white hole, and food coming out of it.
Mm.
So I don't know. I'm getting Area 7 flashbacks already.
Yeah.
People are already making jokes about it,
Of
about
course.
the Whale King Moon's anus or his blowhole, if you catch my
Yep.
drift. So, and given the fact we had given as to what happened in Area 7, I'm almost expecting it to happen. As
Whale
to be
King Moon
something.
and the Mother Snake were meant for each other.
Oh God, Mother Snake, the world's biggest dildo.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that could plug Whale King Moon's big hole.
Yep.
Anyway, so then we also get the whole information about the camping monster stuff and how, was it the space they produce gives off the same sensation that a carnivore gets when faced with like vegetation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh well, I don't. That's not something I would eat, so my appetite isn't interested. So I'm not going to predate on that thing.
Right.
So even if you can see it, or see the people in the camping space, your appetite is not motivated or desiring the items in the space because of what it gives off.
Mm-hmm.
And similarly, giving insight as to the whole idea with the blue grill is that camping monsters space inside their space the time can run differently.
Yep.
So that's that part, which helps explain the whole time difference in blue grill.
Yeah.
And of course, all this time differences would again explains everyone's changed looks and appearances.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I can remember from the last chapter we saw, or from what we've seen, is that like all the people, pretty much everyone was freed, and then like the 5-10 shells had their masks removed.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they do something with that, and then friggin' Yun is like huge.
Yep.
It's supposed to get huge by the end of this. So living for several decades in the spirit world, well, yeah, that I can totally believe that.
Of course.
Now, how much of that are we gonna see? Who knows? Because for all we know, most of that decade could be spent, cooking another.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll just say, "Oh, this is the process," and then they'll just show some of it, and then say, "Oh, time passed."
Right.
So
Yeah. I
and
mean,
then
we're gonna obviously see something with Whale King Moon. Uh, guessing Don Slime's gonna be the only thing that can like stand up to it. I mean,
well, yeah, and some people are unfortunate for some reason have been confused the whole ending with Don Slime saying that resurrection Ichiru with like saying, "Oh, they did that while they were in Blue Grill," and that somehow Ichiru has fused with Don Slime, and that's why Don Slime looks like that. I'm like, no,
no.
he said that to them in the present before he jumped off the ocean. And he said specifically it had to be the full course.
Hmm.
Another doesn't resurrect people.
Center does.
Yep.
And the
So
other, like obviously the full course besides center is gonna give him his form.
basically,
Hmm. Yeah.
well, no, well, it's I don't know exactly how that works because I don't think because there. I mean, obviously, it would have to give him a form because last time I checked, I don't think there was anything left of Ichiru.
Yeah.
So
Barely anything. So.
it would have to. It would definitely. It's definitely going to be interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I can understand like the apprehension of, is this gonna really like make his death like meaningful at all? Well, a lot of people thought that Ichiryu's death was meaningless to begin with because it was like in the first place, Ichiryu tells Midora about what's going on and he basically understood what Ichiryu was saying. He didn't necessarily have to die there. He didn't necessarily have to die fighting Midora to get him to go after Joa.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Hmm.
there's definitely argument on both sides. Let's just wait and see how they do it,
Yeah.
and we'll decide for ourselves. So,
Um.
yeah, this chapter was fucking awesome, but confusing, and I wish they would have shown more of Hot Grill. I mean, Blue Grill. Um,
Well, I mean, the battles definitely would have been interesting.
yeah, everything else I didn't
How,
give a shit about, but yeah.
however, the one thing is that okay. Other also the idea of them spending decades in the spirit world interests me more, mainly because it could also provide some character development for those characters, since we didn't get to see their if they had any during the cooking battles.
Hmm.
Plus, we have those horde of gourmet cell demons just popping up in Blue Grill.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be something.
Oh yeah.
So and once again, because we're dealing with the spirit, the back channel, the spirit world, the world behind, whatever you want to call it, food spirits and gourmet demons, we might actually get a somewhat of like of a scene maybe of Komatsu maybe meeting his gourmet cell demon, kind of
Hmm.
like what Toriko has had with Red,
Right.
except it would be in the back channel where I guess the gourmet cell demon could fully manifest itself without having to eat the full course.
Hmm.
I guess.
It would be funny if his gourmet demon's like abusive to him over those decades. That would be kind of funny.
What saying that would be kind of funny.
You little bitch, get over yourself. You know.
What would be even funnier is if his gourmet cell demon had a similar personality to him.
Oh God. That would be funny though. So,
But
I mean, Mitsutoshi's got room to make this pretty amusing. So.
yeah, and because of the whole idea that they spent decades there, he actually opened it up to a possibility of making the arc a lot longer
Hmm.
because he could fill it up with tons of content if he wanted to.
Yeah.
So he can turn our worry. So this all could have been just one big Kubo style troll on us,
Hmm.
making us all get worried that the series is being forced to end sooner, and then he spends like the next like 6 months in the food of them trying to capture another. Like that would be hilarious. I honestly that would be like the biggest troll in Toriko ever. It's like, oh my god, everyone's he like he. I can just see him now, him sitting there laughing. He's like, ha 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 ha, ha. Watching all the people like complain that oh the series is being forced to end, and then he gives us this like, oh yeah, now we're gonna have in this new version, the second part of the sixth Area 6 arc is gonna be like 40 chapters long of them just going through the spirit world.
Hmm.
And you're like, oh yeah, this is what we wanted.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean,
That
I
would be
hope
cool.
so, because we need to stretch Toriko out.
I mean, for goodness sakes, look how far we are, and we're in the 300s.
Hmm.
I would at least hope we'd get. Oh, this would be at least more than 500 chapters by
Yeah,
the
I
end.
can agree with that, definitely.
Then again, he there's that there's that's assuming that Neo saving Earth from Neo is the end all be all, and not the heavily implied section in space.
Right.
You know, for all we know, Neo might just be a stepping stone that leads them to go into space to face even more dangerous foes,
Could be.
which could extend it for well to a point where we're all satisfied.
Hmm. Definitely.
You eating candy?
No. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, so this chapter was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mitsutoshi, redeem yourself, please. You got this in the bag. Just clinch it.
Clench it. We know you know you. We all know that you know how to clench.
Hmm. Clinch those butt cheeks. I mean, wrong word. No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
Yeah.